major developments today. Perhaps the most important is that cops can now close in on a timeline because we now know this precious little child was murdered the same day that she was raped. Matt Zarrell, Nancy Grace producer, tell us more.
Okay, well, we just got the arrest warrants in today for Mario McNeil, and we have learned that Shaniya Davis was raped and murdered the day she went missing, November 10th. Now, we know that the mom called 911 at 5 and said the last time she saw her child was 5:30. However, McNeil was seen at 6:11 on surveillance 40 miles away at a hotel in Sanford.
Okay, now, isn't it just lovely that whoever did this, we know who's charged with it, didn't drive her around for 4 days and torment the poor child? Pat Brown, what does it tell you, the fact that this man allegedly murdered her the same day that he raped her?
Well, my guess is, Pat, that he accidentally killed her while he was raping her. You know, little children are just annoying that way. When you rape them, they tend to object. They tend to be upset about it. So you have to do something like smother them or strangle them because they're just complaining too much. And so my guess, that's exactly what he did.
Oh, that's interesting. So you don't think that he allegedly performed the rape, then took her somewhere else to murder, then took her somewhere else to dump her body?
I think he may have taken her somewhere else to dump her body, but my guess is she didn't come out of that little hotel alive.
Yeah, and you know what? Talking about asphyxiation, I'm going to go right to Dr. Jake Deutsch. What exactly does that mean? That's not necessarily the same thing as strangulation, correct?
Right. It's basically suffocating the child and putting your hand or some other object over the mouth and depriving her of oxygen. I cannot think of a more gruesome way to accomplish murder, and this is just outrageous. Incredible.
Susan Moss, family law attorney, let me ask you this. If he killed her immediately, allegedly, then clearly he wasn't passing her around. Does that still mean it's trafficking?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he took her to her room and then he took her to her doom. I mean, this guy it doesn't even matter because he's guilty of murder one. And in North Carolina, at the very least, that is life imprisonment. But this is going to be the death penalty. The entire public of North Carolina and the country is outraged for what they saw. She's a little 5-year-old girl. Look at the surveillance tapes. Look how sweet she is. And this guy raped her and allegedly killed her, asphyxiating her and then dumping her body with deer carcasses. He is going to get the death penalty. It's going to go quick, and you're going to get justice in this case.
Daniel Horowitz, let me ask you, if this was your guy, what, are you going to say, gee whiz, he confessed to kidnapping, but somebody pushed him into it, and now it's murder? How do you handle a case like that?
I really think a case like this depends upon whether the client is willing to admit guilt. If he fights guilt when it's overwhelmingly clear that he did it, you maybe walk away from a case like this. But if he's willing to admit that he did it and basically throw himself on the mercy of the court, the public, and so on, maybe he has a chance at life without parole rather than death.
Marlena Shavo, Nancy Grace producer, you spoke with Clarence Coe today. He's the boyfriend of Antoinette Davis. He gave you some revealing pieces of information, not necessarily about the case, but about himself. Go.
That's right. I spoke to him today. He was talking about Antoinette. He was still sticking to the fact that he did not think that she could be responsible for such a crime. And then when I asked him, but what if she is charged with murder? And he said, well, if she is and she had something to do with this, then she should get the death penalty too.
That's really, really interesting, but he doesn't believe she did. But now, she's pregnant, correct? Sitting in jail?
That's right, Pat. She is 2 months pregnant with Clarence's baby. And also, you have to remember, this is a man who was put in prison and charged with first-degree kidnapping because of Antoinette Davis. She was the one who implicated him in this crime, and he is still sticking by the fact that he doesn't think that she did it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've even heard people around the neighborhood say that they thought he was actually the person most concerned for this child.
That's right. And he has said over the past year that he's become extremely close to Shaniya. He was caring for Shaniya while the mother was working these past 6 months. And so he's really torn up about this, and it's just a shame.